Hello everyone. Have you ever wondered what it would look like if someone made a video game completely out of text? That is, no graphics, no real-time inputs, only some letters, numbers, symbols, and a box to type stuff into. Games like this aren't at all unheard of. For example, if you've ever taken an introductory computer science class, you've probably made a bunch of stuff like this. But although I've also made my fair share of text applications, I've never tried taking an already existing game and trying to recreate it using a text-based environment. Today, I'll be showing you my attempt to do this with Terraria. If you want to play it, you can download a Windows executable file from the description, or get the source code from GitHub. I originally planned to set something up on my website that would allow it to be played online, but unfortunately, that doesn't seem like it's possible. I include some information about the main problem I'm having in the description, so if you think you might know how to solve it, I would appreciate your help. I'd really like to make the project accessible to everyone. Anyway, now we can explore the world of Terraria. You're probably wondering what the game actually looks like. Each block has its own Unicode character that the game uses to display it. So, if you're standing on the surface, then your view of the world will look something like this. Also, the player is represented with a little delta symbol because I thought it would be cute. I think it should go without saying that this game has way fewer blocks than Terraria does. The blocks are limited to basic things such as grass, stone, ore types, wood, leaves, platforms, and a few other things. If you want to move around, you can do so by typing various commands into the console. For example, this will move to the right, this will also move to the right, this will move 5 blocks to the right, this will move 5 blocks to the left, this will jump 5 blocks upward, this will jump 2 blocks upward. You get the idea, you're smart. The underground is comprised mainly of stone, with iron, silver, and gold ores sprinkled in. There is also a cave system that spans much of the underground and contains life crystals and chest rooms. Aside from that, there's not much more that the world has to offer. You might be wondering if there's fluids such as water and lava, and the answer to that is unfortunately no. I did originally think about adding them, but I decided they weren't really that necessary to the game. Something that is essential to the game, however, is combat. There are 8 different types of enemies, and you'll randomly encounter them as you walk around the world. The game chooses which enemy to encounter using the player's Y position. Also, I'm sure lots of you have already guessed this, but all fighting in the game is turn-based. It took me a while to settle on how exactly this turn-based combat system would work, but I'm pretty happy with the system I came up with. In short, the fight will cycle between allowing you to choose an attack and allowing you to choose how you want to dodge the enemy's attack. Nothing special there. I didn't really like this system by itself because I wanted there to be an actual element of strategy involved. So, here's how I went about that. Each monster has a set of moves it can choose from on each turn. The move it actually chooses is dictated by a single value. This value is randomly chosen upon the monster's creation, and it changes in a predictable way after each turn. Each monster has its own unique pattern that dictates how this value changes. I'm not going to tell you what these patterns are, but the source code is always available if you're curious. Anyway, the idea is that over time, you'll learn the pattern in which each monster cycles its moves, and will eventually be able to dodge all of its attacks. Whether this is actually a realistic expectation or not, you guys will have to tell me. I chose to implement one boss into the game, which was the Eye of Cthulhu. Prior to fighting it, I'd advise you to get maxed out HP, gold armor, and decently strong weapons. You can summon it by using a suspicious looking eye, which can either be found in chests or crafted with lenses from demon eyes. There are a few things that make this fight a lot more difficult. The obvious one is that the boss has a lot of health and deals a lot of damage. However, rather than being limited to choosing one attack, you're able to choose a combination of 3 attacks, which will all play out within the same turn. This allows you to deal a greater amount of damage to the boss while taking fewer hits from it in return. The boss's attack patterns are also a lot more difficult to predict, and to explain why, let's revisit the monster AI. Remember how I said that the attack a monster chooses depends solely on what its current attack value is? Well, the Eye of Cthulhu is a bit more complicated. Rather than having a single attack value, it has a primary and secondary attack value that change independently of each other, with its actual attack being chosen using a composite of these values. It's still possible to dodge 100% of its attacks, but you'll need to study how the AI works for a lot longer than you would for the other enemies. Because of this jump in difficulty, It's probably better to simply gear up rather than trying to learn its attacks based on fighting it alone. As difficult as the boss is, it'll all be worth it for the item you get upon defeating it. So, there's an overview of the game. Once again, there's links to play it in the description if you want to. At the moment, I'm not really planning on updating the game, and I actually ended up adding more features to it than I originally planned. However, if enough people seem interested, then there's certainly some things I could still add. I could also make a video talking about how the code works, but again, I don't know whether you guys want to see that or not. But anyway, that's all I have to say about the game, so thanks for watching, and cue the end screen.